Welcome to the Clearline Glass Railing installation video. Clearline is the perfect product for your next glass railing project. No holes in the glass and fully adjustable. For the purpose of this video, we will be fixing to a pre-made timber platform. The components of the brackets we're using today are shown here in front of you. Firstly, we want to measure the total length of the railing to determine the panel quantities and sizes. At the end of each run, place a mark 50mm and 130mm down from the top of the finished deck height. Mark both ends and then ping a chalk line across both the top and the bottom marks. Measure out the panel sizes. For residential sites, Clearline can have 2 brackets per 6-foot panel. Brackets are to be fixed 300mm in from the ends of each panel. From the bracket centers, measure and mark 46.5mm on both sides of the center mark and square down from those marks. Your fixing points will be where your marks intersect. Begin by drilling a 5mm pilot hole on each of your 4 marks. With an impact driver and a 5mm hex drive, drive in the 2 outermost lag screws until they sit 47mm proud of the edge of the finished deck. Drive in the remaining lag screws on the top chalk line until they are sitting roughly 40mm proud of the finished deck edge. Set up a string line from one end of the deck to the other and have it sitting at the ends of the 2 outermost lag screws. Wind out the remaining lag screws to meet the string line. Set the bottom lag screws until they are roughly plumb with the top lag screws. You can check this using your square. If you need to straighten out any lag screws, wind on a hex nut and adjust using your hammer. Wind a hex nut onto the top lag screws and set them at 17mm from the end of the lag screw. Wind on the bottom hex nuts until they are plumb with the top hex nuts. Check them using your square. Place a washer on after each hex nut. Fasten the 2 end brackets with a washer and a hex nut using a 17mm socket wrench. Adjustments can be made to the side by loosening the hex nut and repositioning the bracket so it sits plumb again. Tighten from both the back and the front of the panel mount to avoid twisting. Set up a string line running end to end. The string line should be positioned so that it sits on top of the notch located on the front face of the panel mount. Position the panel mount so that the string line sits just off the notch and tighten with a 17mm socket wrench. Use a 17mm spanner on the rear hex nut to lock it in place while tightening from the front. Adjust the bolt on the back so it sits 3mm proud of the inside of the panel mount. Wind out the remaining grub screws so the jaws are not impeded when they are inserted. Place the seat in the center of the panel mount and then the jaws on each side. Install the glass and position to the marks. To plumb the glass, start at the panel mount on the end of each run. Tighten the front grub screw using a 6mm Allen key. The top 2 grub screws either side provide alignment to move the panel either way, up to 4 inches at the top. Using a 5mm Allen key, tighten to plumb. Move to the other side and do the same on the panel mount at the other end. The 2 panels of glass should now be sitting plumb at each end. Run a string line over the top edge of the 2 panels. The string should be set so that it's running through the center. Place a packer under the string line at each end so that the string sits slightly above the glass. To adjust the heights of the panels, use a 5mm Allen key and wind up the bottom middle grub screw. There is roughly ½ an inch of adjustability. Tighten the front grub screw, then adjust using the top grub screws until the string line is running through the middle of the panels. When all glass panels are plumb, tighten the bolt on the back of the panel mount using a 19mm spanner. Tighten the 2 bottom side grub screws until firm using a 4mm Allen key. Once the glass is plumb, move on to the cable trays on the deck side. Fix these in place with button screws, then clip on the back cap. Adjust the top bolt at the 2 end panel mounts so the top of the bolt sits 15mm above the top of the panel mount. Run a straight edge, or in this case the cover plate, over the 2 end bolts and wind up the middle bolts to meet it. Place the top edge of the cover plate over the bolts. Wind down the cone head grub screw until it catches on the bottom lip of the cover plate. It should clip into place with a light blow. Bend the tabs of the end caps so that they align with the slots in the cover plate, and then tap in using a mallet. Place the inside channel into the cable tray so that the short tab is closest to the glass. Press down firmly on the edge and the other edge until you hear a click. Insert the bottom flap into the cover plate. When done correctly, the bottom flap should just roll into place until you hear a click. All done. The Glassvice Clearline Glass Railing is an absolute game changer with its patented double friction technology and superior adjustability. Thank you for watching. For all inquiries or technical information requests, visit glassvice.com.